What's up? Not the best intro I've ever made. This is a Nat reading vlog. Nat is one of my best friends in the world, whether she wants that or not. I met her thanks to Jan Agaton, who I've already done a reading vlog for, so if you want to check that out, if you don't know who Jan is, you should, and if you don't know who Nat is, you're about to find out. Jan's reading vlog will be up in the cards. It's this side, right, Shay? Nat's birthday is coming up in October. Ironically, her birthday is on the day that I have a tattoo appointment. No, it is not her face, unfortunately. But I wanted to do something for her birthday because Nat has introduced me to so many books. Nat and I share so much of the same taste in a lot of things, but she has introduced me to so many new books, especially romance. I take Nat's opinions on romance very seriously because she has yet to lead me astray when it comes to romance, and I've been bumbling around in the dark in romance as a genre for a while. I'm also channeling, I just texted her, I said, I'm channeling my Jesuit University core for your intro. But Nat and I also share taste when it comes to manga, when it comes to fantasy, just that kind of stuff overall. And obviously, since we're both book lovers, she's had a ton to recommend to me personally. She's recommended me so many things that I've literally created a bookshelf on Goodreads just for her recommendations. I call it my nerdy Nat reads. Sorry, Nat is somewhere mad at me for some reason. I'm sorry. But I call it my nerdy Nat reads shelf. But since her birthday's coming up, and I am starting to get quite the backlist of her recommendations for me personally, I thought, what would be a better way than to tackle this two birds, one stone, than to make a reading vlog for her birthday, a Nat-themed vlog. I'm going to be trying to channel Nat through a lot of activities that I do. I'm going to be reading her recommendations, some of her favorite books, and we're just going to have a nerdy Nat time. Now, I do have quite the TBR for this vlog. It is quite ambitious, but just like Nat, and I don't think that I'm gonna get through all of them. But I have some that I'm like, I need to get through these. I have prioritizations, and then I have things that if I get to them, I get to them. I'm back with my laptop. Backstreet's back. Alright. While I am trying to focus on a lot of my physical TBR, another thing Nat loves to do, I will be getting some of these from my library just because I don't own physically, and I do want to get to some of the ones she personally recommended for me and wanted to see me read. So first we're gonna go through my actual Nerdy Nat Reads shelf. This is the shelf of things that she has personally recommended to me. For She Is Wrath by Emily Varga, this is one of Nat's favorites. It is a Palestinian retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo, I believe, which Dumas over there is one of my favorite authors. I love The Three Musketeers. I love The Count of Monte Cristo. So I am very, very curious to read this. I hope that I love it. I got it as an ebook from my library. It will be one of the ones that I set in stone get done, hopefully. Grin and Beard It, Winston Brothers Volume 2. Volume 2? I've been reading too much manga. Book 2. Winston Brothers series is a romance series that Nat turned me on to because she recommended me Truth or Beard, which, wow, you can't see the copy down there at all. But now I own a copy. She recommended it to me for a lot of reasons, but namely because it takes place in a small town in Tennessee. It involves a family of mechanics and biker clubs. Three things which I know intimately about, and so she was like, this is either going to be very bad or very good for you, and I ended up loving it, so I'm going to continue on with the second book in the series. One that I did manage to physically get from my library is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. Again, one of Nat's absolutely favorite reads. I read the first line, and I'm so intrigued. I'm so curious. I hope that I love this. We have A Marvelous Light right there that I got from my library that I own it now. So if I get to it, I get to it. It's on the list. Another one that I believe my hold is going to come in soon is After Hours on Milagro Street. Milagro! Angelina M. Lopez. I'm sorry, Nat. I can't talk. Surprise, surprise, it's another romance. Yes, and I Love You by Ronnie Lauren. This is one of Nat's most recommended authors. I think she even mentioned this series and this author several times in one of her recent recommendation videos, but she's told me specifically that she was really curious for me to read this. It's a romance. What did I tell you? Nat guides my hands in the darkness in romance. So I'm trusting her. I'm trusting her with this one. I'm curious and also wary to read it because I feel like there's something that's gonna happen that Nat is just like steepling her fingers about, waiting for me to react. So maybe that's just Nat in general, waiting for me to react to these books. But I feel like there's something there. All Systems Red, The Murderbot Diaries, Book 1. Again, one of Nat's favorite series. It's obviously blown up because of the TV show recently, but I've had this on my radar for a while because of Nat, because she rants and raves about it. I think she's read it through like twice now, or is like reading through it twice or something. I read the first paragraph of this when I got it from my library, and I had to hold off because I was like, wait, I'm sold. Wait, I'm already sold. And it's so short, too. It's like 124 pages on my Libby with my font settings. So, yeah. I don't read a ton of sci-fi. Nat is also one of my guiding lights on sci-fi. I trust her. So, don't leave me wrong on this, Nat. I hope that I love it. I may have a couple of loans that come in here and there from my library, but I don't want to tell you about them until they actually come in. As for my other physical TBR, I told you that I have some solid and then some just if I get to them, I get to them. Here are the ones that I'm planning on prioritizing. A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is book 2 in the Wayfarers series. It's not a trilogy. I always wanted to say a trilogy. It's not a trilogy. Funnily enough, Nat ended up putting this on her October TBR. And I texted her, I was like, there's no shot, dude. No shot. So we're gonna be buddy reading this. At this point, me and Nat should just have the same TBR. We should just have a mutual TBR each month. If there's one thing Nat loves, it's typically AI characters in sci-fi. And I was not the biggest fan of this AI character at the end of the first book because I wanted the original one. I didn't dislike him, but I'm just like, I'm not extremely interested in this book, but I am going to try because I do want to finish the series, and this is just my catalyst to get to it. Who knows? Maybe I'll be sold by the end of it. 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This was actually sent to me by Nat for my birthday because it's one of her favorites. That's what she said, right? That's what she said? That's what she said. She said that she hopes that I love this book as much as she did. I've always heard great things about this book, so I'm excited to finally get into it.
Are dogs destroying my house?
We have Girl on Girl, How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves by Sophie Gilbert. Nat has been loving reading media-based essays recently when it comes to like, oh god, what is that book? It Came from the Closet and stuff like that. And I saw this at my library and I sent it to her because she's been wanting to read more books like that. So this isn't one she recommended to me, but it's one I recommended to her. So Nat, I'm going to give you the exclusive scoop on what I think about it and if you like it. Hopefully. Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is a shared favorite author between the both of us. I think Nat ended up rating this 5 stars. I'm hopeful. I have high hopes for this. Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This is a book that I have heard so many good things about, and I love the cover of the second one, and I've had this for a while. Nat loves it, so it's a perfect time to read it. I also feel like it's a good book for fall. Just saying. Then these aren't really priorities, but they're priorities to me. I thought she just texted me. She did not, so it's not important. But my library was recently having a sale because they're undergoing renovations, so they were trying to get rid of a bunch of books at different various sales. And they had these vintage Star Wars books, which if you don't know anything about Nat, Nat is probably the biggest Star Wars nerd I know, and that is a compliment because I don't read anything with Star Wars or the canon or anything, but Nat has her whole Star Wars canon project thing that she does, and I love to watch it because I wouldn't read it myself, really, because I'm just not into the universe that much, but I love hearing her talk about it. I just love hearing people talk about things that they love, and I also trust her opinions. But I saw these at the book sale, and I was like, this is the perfect time for me to try it. So we have Star Wars The New Jedi Order Dark Tide 1 Onslaught. This is book 3, I believe, in the New Jedi Order series or whatever, but I don't care. I got it. I'm gonna try it. I know. I told Nat, I said, I'm gonna be so lost. And I know it, so I'm probably gonna have to ask her some stuff along the way. But then I opened one of the first pages and I was like, Nat, I know I'm gonna be lost in some stuff, but what the fuck is this? What is this? What kind of map is that? I'm so screwed. And then the other 2 books are Agents of Chaos 1, Hero's Trial, which I believe is the 5th book or something. There's a book after this, and then it's this book. And then there's Agents of Chaos 2, Jedi Apocalypse, which I picked these up without reading the backs of them. This is Chewbacca grief horror. Chewbacca grief horror. And I didn't know until I sent Nat a video reacting to it live on the back when I read the back. And she was like, of course that you would pick up, the first books you pick up of Star Wars are Chewbacca dying. We have fan service, and this, again, paranormal romance, perfect for October. One of my most highly anticipated as well, because it's very, very, like, what is that word? Esoteric? What is that word? Where it's like letters and text messages and stuff like that. I don't know. I have a degree. The first thing I think I'm actually gonna do is, I've already started Murderbot, as I've said, and I read, like, the first page of The Wolf and the Woodsman, but I think what I want to do is do a Nat thing that she does sometimes, where she just tries a chapter for some of her mood reading vlogs. So I think I'm going to take a bunch of these and I'm just going to try a chapter, let you know what I think, and then we're going to pick our focus reads. I want to have 3 focus reads at a time. That way I can read one, hopefully finish another, and then start on another. I found that having 2 to 3 going at the same time whenever I'm focused on something is best for me. I found that out the hard way with my 10K and 28K challenges. I'm about to go outside and have some reading time, but I wanted to update you because I did not read a chapter in everything, I must admit. But the first chapters that I read, and a couple, helped me narrow some stuff down. I ended up reading the prologue of the first Star Wars book. I read the first chapter in Funny Story, and I read the first chapter in 7 Days in June. What I believe I'm going to do. I believe I'm going to continue Murderbot, because I could easily, like, finish Murderbot tonight. I probably won't, because I'll take my time with it. I think I want to work on a library book first, that way I can get ready to turn it in and not have to renew my hold, hopefully. I think I can plow through 7 Days in June pretty quickly, and then I'll read A Closed and Common Orbit next up after that, because Nat has, I think it's a book club book for her. Anyway, she has to have it done by a certain date, so I want to get started on that next, but I don't feel like reading it first. The first chapter captivated me enough that I'm like, I want to read this first and get a library loan done, and this really intrigued me. I'm curious to see how it's going to go, so yeah, I think that'll be our good start, plus Murderbot. I'm gonna go outside, spend some time with the puppies, and enjoy the sunshine. What's up, my dudes? I am not doing an actual, like, very nice Nat angle, but all I can be is me, so you have to deal with it. I have one update for you. I am more than halfway through one of the books I didn't even say that I was going to start with. I am more than halfway through Yes and I Love You. I am eating this up. I keep texting Nat, like, what is in this book? Because I cannot stop reading it. I had to take a shower last night, and I could not stop reading it, which is a problem, but a good problem to have. The writing is so digestible. It's so bingeable. I don't know what's in it, but it's so good. I love our cast of characters. I love our FMC. I'm interested in her. I relate a little bit too strongly to her. And our male lead, Jasper. I don't think I need to do the romance book tag anymore, because I think it's just going to be like Jasper across the board. I love Jasper as a MMC. Oh my lord, I love this man. There has been plenty of time so far in this book, I mean, for both characters, like, throughout the book, where I've just been like, I'm gonna throw up, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I am cool. I'm cool. I've already decided, I don't want to speak too soon, but I've pretty much already decided that I'm probably gonna get a physical copy. Just because I decided, not last night, but the night before, I was like, I'll just read, like, a chapter or a few pages to kind of get a feel for it. I read, like, 3 chapters before I went to bed. And then yesterday, I read up to 59% of it, or like 52 or something. And then I read a couple chapters this morning, because I just, sheesh, I'm loving it. I'm devouring it. I need to know where this is gonna go wrong. I need to know what the third act conflict is gonna be, and I am so here. I'm so here for the relationship, the spice. Nat was right about the spice. And like I said, Nat is my guiding light when it comes to romance, and she does not lead me wrong. I was telling her that I got to one particular scene. I'll just say that it involves acting practice. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, dude, wait for the Sharpie. And I was like, I'm actually just gonna show our screenshot, because that is my honest reaction. But, like, I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. I can't wait to see how it ends. I love it. So this is gonna be a really good one to, start it off with. I told her, I was like, I'm binging Star Wars books, I'm binging romance books, and I actually already turning into that, like, for real. Yeah, the rest of them are going fine. They're going great. I'm loving everything that I'm reading, but that is the one that I've made the most progress in so far. And we're doing the Nat thing of updating halfway through and then at the end. So, yeah. I'm gonna get some dinner, because what I've had to eat today, I was sitting outside, and I was like, man, why do I feel kind of yucky and, like, dizzy and sad? I've had a bowl of oatmeal at 8 a.m. It is now 5:34 p.m. So I had a bowl of oatmeal at 8 a.m. and, like, 10 Cheetos. That's it. And coffee, if that counts. Girl dinner. I'm gonna go get an apple and some peanut butter or something before dinner to tide me over, and then I may have an update for you at the end of today. I don't know. We will see. Only a couple chapters into 7 Days in June, but I'm really enjoying it as well. I've just been kind of distracted with Yes and I Love You. I'm still shocked how much I'm enjoying this. I did not think I would pick it up that quickly. I still have no idea who half these people are. I feel like I'm missing out on half the enjoyment and half the lore by not knowing who these people are. But I think it's doing a pretty good job so far of letting you into the world, even if you haven't read the other books in the series, which is very welcoming and very accessible, and I like that. There's a guy named Corran, Corran, and I can't stop picturing him as Yuan Magoogers, because very, very many things, but there's a part where him and whatever his freaking name is, starts with a G, he's a douche, they're like in this desert planet, whatever, and they're fighting these creatures that move underneath the sand or whatever, and he's like, oh, well, they're gonna catch me up if I keep running, and then he's like, unless, and he turns around and, stabs his lightsaber in the sand, and it kills it, and then they all start attacking that, and his thought, in all italics, is, old school Jedi indeed, and I'm like, how am I not supposed to read that in Obi-Wan's voice? Anytime that they describe their Jedi robes, like he's wearing black with like a midnight blue sash and blah blah blah, all I can picture is, you probably know what's coming, Ewan McGoogers, I'm bringing sexy back, yep. And so I'm taking this book very seriously. I'm taking it 100% seriously. Sup nerds, it is October 8th, and I know I've been real quiet lately. Don't worry about it. Nat and I had our morning call. We call like twice a week and tandem watch. Like we buddy watch. What am I tandem watch? We buddy watch a couple of different shows. And we were talking today, and I was telling her about the vlog, updating her on what I'm reading and stuff. And at one point we got to talking about horror movies, because I was like, I need more Nativities. I need more recommendations to do stuff that is Nat coded for this video. And so we were talking through a couple different things, and then we got on the subject of horror movies and movies in general. And Nat gave me a list of, basically a syllabus of movies to watch that are essentially Nat. Some of these I have seen, other ones I have not. The ones that I've seen, it's been a while, and so I'm probably due for a rewatch anyway, and it's spooky month, so who cares? But Nat, being as wonderful and beautiful as she is, she listed them in order of priority. So I'm gonna go through the list with you right now. Interview with the Vampire and Queen of the Damned, Repo the Genetic Opera, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Yeah, I know, shocking I haven't seen that one, right? What We Do in the Shadows, The Babysitter 1 and 2, The Mummy, Happy Death Day, Bedazzled, The New It, Hocus Pocus, Scooby-Doo, Zombieland, and Addams Family. Obviously, the latter half of the list I've pretty much seen, like I said, and The Mummy, obviously, I've seen. I watch religiously. Right now, though, I think I'm going to watch Repo unless I can find Interview with the Vampire first. She really wants my reactions to Repo and Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, like, vlog updates, and so that's what she's gonna get, which will help me synthesize my thoughts for you. I don't know what that word is. You get it. I just had lunch. I finished watching Bull Shark. Probably gonna watch Bull Shark 2 and 3 tonight, just because, Game Warden Spencer? I don't want to talk about it. Oh, and funnily enough, Nat coded, so it takes place in Texas, and they talked about Port Aransas, and this person was like, oh, that's like 7 hours from here, and I was like, I wonder how close that is to Nat, because they talk about it being in north of Texas, and Nat is like Dallas wide area, whatever. And so I was like, how close is that to Dallas? Because they said north, and it was 6.5 hours from Dallas. And so I told Nat this, and so she Googled where the movie was filmed, and she was like, oh, I know where that is. Yeah. So that's my update for now. I'll let you know what I think. But it's going good so far. I'm turning into Nat so much. I'm loving everything that I'm reading. I am just embodying, I'm full cosplaying Nat, and I'm loving it. This is crazy. Okay, so Interview with the Vampire. I know exactly where this is in Paris because me and Julia actually toured inside of it, and it's beautiful because we saw it, and I said, Julia, this looks like it would be like if I was a church, like if I was a patron saint and I had my own church or whatever, like that kind of gothic, almost sewer plant looking vibe is my vibe. So I have been inside of this. That's what she said. I love this church. It's beautiful. It's stunning. I love it so much. This is crazy. This is wild. What? I will actually put pictures in this video from this church because that's crazy. I almost got run over by a bike here. Yeah, fun times. Y'all, we're starting off the morning with another Nat classic. This one is the one that she wanted my every reaction to. It's Tucker and Dale, if you didn't know. I got my coffee. I've got a part of my sanity. Let's go.
It's like a good looking cooler.
That's a high compliment. In the mountains. Oh, cutie.
I told you, Tucker.
I just told this to Nat. I'm like, I don't know, I'm probably like 20 minutes in this movie, maybe. But I'm having such a good time. I love them so much. These are my people that I grew up with. I told Nat, I said, this is a movie built on misunderstandings, and it's the only miscommunication trope that I want. Dale is so pure. Dale is so pure. He's just a good old boy. And his mama raised him right. His mama raised him right. You hate pancakes? I'm gonna make you something else. I'm not physically okay. That was cuter than half the crap that you see in romance books, and you can fight me. You can fight me in my Appalachian Hills about that. That man is a giver. I love them both. We got your friend. They're taking me out, dude. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna keep updating like this, but I need you to know that it's going very well. It's going very well. I want more horror movies where they go up like into the mountains. Don't go up in their hills. But one of their group has a southern or a hill folk person with them, and maybe it's like a satire horror comedy, you know, like maybe not just straight horror or whatever. Maybe it's kind of like this. But I want where they go to the general store, you know, and old people are on their rockers and they're like, there's nothing but pain and suffering, don't go up in their hills. And the southern person or the mountain person comes around and they go, wow, what y'all been up to? And they just start talking to them, and it comes to find out that just the deer are real aggressive up there. That's all it is. Give me a southern person in these people that like knows what's going on, but again, there's so much misunderstanding and miscommunication that things just get crossed. I have a lot to catch you up on. I've been pretty bad at updating, but you know what? That's okay. We're all human. Right? Imagine I could have a CAPTCHA just like actually pop up so that you have to enter it to continue this video. Wouldn't that be crazy? That's coming. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Hey, the doomsday will get us all. Focus, Shay. Focus. I just finished watching a movie. It is nice and beautiful outside, so I'm about to go outside and read, but I want to give you some updates before I do that because, like I said, I've been pretty bad. I have finished Murderbot and Yes and I Love You. Did I update you halfway through? I don't remember. I ended up loving both. Murderbot I gave 4 stars. Yes and I Love You I gave 5 stars. My only problem with Murderbot is, and Nat told me this is just kind of the author's writing, is how much it delves you right into the world. There's so much to pick up. There's so much world building and interlocking details and stuff like that, and I love that, but I was very lost in the sauce half the time, like how all the systems connect to each other and what that allows them to do and how they're accessing this and this and this. I was just like, I told Nat, I said, hey, you know, SpongeBob's like, we're not talking about this or this or this, we're talking about this. That's what it feels like. And I'm also not a sci-fi person to begin with, so but it's 4 stars because I love the humor in it. I love the story. I will be continuing with the series. And I believe upon rereadability, it would be a 5 star because I would probably pick up more and more and stuff like that. But for now, it's a 4 star. But with the potentiality of a 5 upon reread. As for Yes and I Love You, I finished this while I was at work, and that was not a good decision because I was giggling and stamping my feet and just being like, just squealing, just being a giggly little bitch, okay? I love Jasper. Where's my Jasper? If he ain't like Jasper, I don't want him. Usually, I'm not a fan of gestures, like grand romantic gestures, whatever like that. But oh my god, this works so well. Oh my god, everything about this works so well. They are emotionally mature, like adult people. Like, yes, they have faults and they make mistakes and they have bad thoughts and bad decisions, but there is always some kind of, not recuperation is the wrong word, solution, I guess, that they don't just put in place. Like, they work through it. Like, they work through that pattern of thoughts, or they work what got them here and now how they're gonna get out on the other side. You know, like emotionally mature adult humans tend to do. The communication is great. The miscommunication works because, like I said, it's not even like miscommunication, but just like being in your own head with your own thoughts, that usually can frustrate me in romance. It works because of the way that they think through things and the way that they emotionally mature and handle themselves. I love the characters, I love the story, the writing was so addictive. Yeah, it was a good call. I loved it. I'm glad I waited to do the romance tag until I read this book, because Jasper's just gonna be it. I'm sorry, Jasper's just gonna be it. I am in the middle of a couple of different things right now, but I am more than halfway through the Star Wars book and 7 Days in June. So I'll give you my halfway updates on those. The Star Wars book, I am still loving more than I thought I would. I am just absolutely locked in. I could have finished it last night, but I was finishing movies and I was really tired, so I didn't. But that's what I'm going to go outside and finish right now, along with 7 Days in June. The Star Wars book is pretty good, especially for being in the middle of the series. Like, it's the third book. I think it does really well about catching you up about what's going on in the story. I don't feel too lost looking at you, Murderbot. I feel like I know the details. Like, it's clear that I missed out on things that were in the first couple of books, but I don't feel like I missed out on enough to not get what's going on. For instance, they talk about, like, this planet was environmentally destroyed by this race of aliens or whatever that's trying to invade them. And it's like, oh, well, that's what I missed in book 2. But, like, I understand and I see the repercussions enough now to know where it's gonna go in this story now. I love it. It works really, really well. The characters are funny. They're interesting, even though they're mainly new to me. The other ones, the familiar ones, actually do feel familiar. They feel like they're characters from the canon that I know. I'm having such a goofy time with this cast of characters. I told Nat, I said, I have a stem that's like old school Jedi indeed, because every time they talk about what Jedi robes or whatever they're wearing, I just picture Obi-Wan. Like, you know the stance where Obi-Wan's like, I'm burning insects. Yeah, you know it. You know it. How am I not supposed to picture Ewan McGugu? How? But yeah, I'm enjoying it. 7 Days in June, I am also loving. I got to the chapter where they're talking about the abandoned mansion on Wisconsin Avenue, and I didn't even finish reading that page. I read that sentence, and that's where I was going to stop for the night, and I was like, that is so funny, because if you didn't know, I went to Georgetown University, which is that Wisconsin Avenue is in Georgetown, in DC. When I read that part of this was going to take place in DC, I was like, okay, let's see how much resonates with me. Wisconsin Avenue is literally just a couple of streets down from 37 and 0, which is where Georgetown is. Like, that is our neighborhood. And I was like, okay, yeah, I know where these mansions are, because that's where all the rich government people live, and half the time they don't even live there. And sure enough, the person that lives there, turns out, goes to Georgetown Law. And I was like, I cannot escape my fucking alma mater. So many books that I read end up mentioning Georgetown somehow. And I'm like, Hoya freaking Saxa, I guess. I don't know, dude. Like, can you leave me alone? I'm enjoying it though. I love Shane and I love Eva. I think that the writing is so good. At one point, I got out 3 different highlighters for 2 pages, a set of 2 pages. Yeah. It's that good. I'm a simp. It's beach read, but give me the actual angst. Give me the actual, not enemies, but like the tortured angst. Beach read meets emo meets angst meets actual societal commentary. You know, it's great. It's great. I'm having such a fun time with it. I'm gonna go outside and finish both of those right now, and I'm gonna make some progress in A Closed and Common Orbit, because Nat is reading this for some freaking reason. I don't know. You expect me to keep up with her life? I got my own life to handle. But she is, like, already 20% into this book last time that I checked, and I'm not. So I'm trying to catch up with her. Not necessarily that we have to be on the same page. I mean, me and Nat are always on the same page. But close, you know. So I'm gonna go outside and read a couple in this, but I'm mainly gonna focus on reading those, and I'll talk to you when I finish them, I guess. Hello, please excuse any residual noises from dogs or vehicles otherwise that you may hear. I finished 7 Days in June. I loved it. Absolute fantastical time. I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars, but I'm gonna rate it up to 5 for Goodreads. The writing, impeccable. The characters, impeccable. I honestly wish there had been about 100 pages more to work through some stuff. Maybe not even 100, maybe like 50. But I did appreciate the time span of different things towards the end that more so felt like realistic to me. I like their own individual journeys and how they really came together as a pair. Like, they started as a pair, and then they individualized, came together as a pair, individualized, and then worked as a pair at the end. I really like, there was a paragraph that talked about, like, maybe this is what adult love is it's just, like, being catastrophes together in our own ways, but, like, being fearless enough to, like, love each other through those things, and I thought that was beautiful. I thought the writing overall was beautiful. I loved the relationship with the kid. I thought it was really sweet. I had just a good, fun time with it. Yeah. I definitely loved it. Another great recommendation from Nat, and especially since this one was actually sent to me by Nat for my birthday. My birthday, right? I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was my birthday. So, Nat, spot on, as always. I always tend to love romances about writers, but specifically these two, I think it works because it wasn't so much writing at each other, but I think it worked in its way over the years that built up to the tension that had been waiting since the beginning, and then it just worked itself out. If you've read it, please tell me you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I loved it. As I would say, I absolutely loved it, and I will be checking out more from this author. And I'm probably gonna finish Star Wars tonight, but I've been outside enjoying this gorgeous day in October. I know, I should be inside working. I should be inside doing stuff. But I watched a movie this morning, and I went outside, and I've pretty much been outside ever since. I came outside at 11:30. I stayed outside at about 1:30. I made lunch. I ate lunch till about 2, and then I've been out here since then because I came out here to read, and I finished 7 Days in June, so I was reading while I was out here. I wasn't just sitting up staring at the sun like I normally do. And now it's 4:14. So I said that when the sun completely shadowed my chair over here, I would stop sitting in the sun all day because I've been sitting in the sun all day, and I would just enjoy being outside with the pups because they have gotten their second feeding of the day, and now I'm just supervising to make sure that they get up to no shenanigans around Stormy, but he's down yonder, so I think hope it'll be relatively okay. But I think I'm about to go back in, probably decompress from all the sunshine. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Son, you can't stand up on me like that. This is one of my sons. He's my most obsessive baby. You wanna say hi to the people, bub? Wanna say hi to the people? And he's eating my wrist. Okay, bub. Toddlers. So spoiled. Now he's got a giant stick. Yeah, I'm about to head inside. No more movies tonight. I think I'm going to buckle down, get a blanket, maybe make myself a decaf coffee, and get to work. Tomorrow, they're having some estate sales in town. And your girl loves an estate sale. This is a Nat vlog, but your girl loves an estate sale. And you never know. I might find some good Nat finds. I'm also picking up some sushi tomorrow, I hope, from Kroger's, if they're not recalling everything. If it's not radioactive shrimp again. But I hope to get some sushi and have that maybe with a movie tomorrow before I buddy watch some stuff with my parents. And yeah, that is our plan for right now. I'll probably have some more updates before the end of the night with the Star Wars book and everything like that, but for now, that's where we are. Capiche? Capiche. What say you, son of mine? What say you, daughter of mine? Ignores me. Just like a preteen would. Rosie. Says whatever. Sambo, my son, what say you? It's sleep time, says Sambo. One thing I forgot to mention about 7 Days in June, which is just a pretty cool little thing. I randomly choose my bookmarks. If I can find one to match the cover, I can. Otherwise, I just kind of match it on vibes. And the one that I ended up choosing for this book, I didn't look at it, like, as in, read it, because you can see it has words on it. I didn't read it. I just grabbed it, because I was like, this color, kind of like the same tones. You get it, like, the same kind of matte tones, and also really kind of matches like the inside, kind of like the color palette. You get it? But then I looked at it. It's Kramer Books and Afterwards, which is like a DC bookstore. Not only that, celebrating Black authors. I can't make this up. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, it's good. So now I have about 100 pages left of this to go. I'm on 195 and there are 292 pages in it. So literally less than 100 pages. This is my bookmark for it. It's a holographic, but you can't really tell. Oh, wait. Yeah, you can't really tell in this camera. How do I... There you go. You get it. Lift off. Yay. It is from Burger King in 2004. Yes, I keep everything I've ever owned. How many space shuttle missions have been launched into space? 10, 50, or over 100? Keep in mind, this is in 2004. Since April 12th, 1981, when the Space Shuttle Columbia became the first shuttle to orbit the Earth, there have been over 100 shuttle missions. So, I guess C. Anyway, yeah, I'm still enjoying this. Only 100 pages from the end. It's picking up. And I will probably start one of my library books. I have to finish 2 of my library books tonight because they are due at the library tomorrow. And I have not finished them, but I'm going to focus on them. I'm going to focus on this and finishing this and then starting one of my loans that's on my phone because my TBR here I can get started with any time because I own it. But I have too many current reads. So that's why I'm going to buckle down tonight. I'm just going to get my drinks. I'm going to get my blankie. I'm going to get set up. And I'm just going to read my little heart's content. Y'all, Lord Almighty, do we have some updates to get through? As if this video wasn't already long enough. October was a hectic month. It was a hectic month. Okay, watch out for those. They're dangerous. That's why you see a lot of my vertical updates to Nat that I texted her in here, is because like that is some of the only updates that I have, just because this month was so hectic with work and a lot of personal stuff with this house. And you know what? That's okay. Life sometimes life. So I imported all the footage to start editing this video because I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. And I went through and made a checklist of the stuff that I have updated and I haven't updated. Don't panic. Some of the stuff are books that I haven't even started yet. So they're fine. But there are some, I think I have like 5 updates I need to tell you. Like 5 book updates. So let's get started, shall we? Honestly, not as bad as I feared, especially because I'm not gonna, if I haven't done a halfway update, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm just gonna do the end update if I finish the book. So let's start with the earliest one, at least what I think is the earliest one, the Star Wars book. I ended up really liking the Star Wars book, and I'm gonna continue the series. I wouldn't read it myself, really, because I'm just not into the universe that much. It was so much fun. Pretty much my opinion stayed the same throughout it. I felt like if I had more context, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but just having the base knowledge that I do, which is the movie knowledge, like the original and the prequels, and a little bit of sparse Clone Wars knowledge here and there just picked up in society, just in the cultural zeitgeist, I understood it just as well, because it did a good blend of developing you into this world, or putting you in this world, developing it kind of around you, but using your base knowledge to kind of act as a foundation. So I thought it did that really well. It was really intriguing. I liked how it ended on a resolution that was also a cliffhanger. I liked that it worked dual like that it dual wielded that really well. I do plan on continuing it. In fact, I think I kind of want to go back and read the first book because that'll probably give me even more context. But I found out that my library, one of the ones that I have a card for on Libby, actually has the entire series, and I think they have them all as ebooks and as audiobooks. So I get my choice of picking and choosing. So Nat has turned me into a Star Wars Legends, I guess, nerd or whatever, which is ironic considering like that's not the Star Wars canon project that she's doing yet. She's doing the other one. So, you know, we're just informing each other, I guess. Counterbalancing the yin and yang. Yin and yang. Greetings, fam. It is another day and not another dollar. I have sushi. I had sushi, thank God it's still packaged. I have sushi from Kroger, only the mightiest, finest of sushi, because Nat also loves sushi. Unfortunately, they don't have Nat's favorite kind of sushi there, so I got my favorite kind of sushi, which, well, not my favorite, but a favorite that they had available there, which is spicy California roll with spicy mayo. I preferred spicy crunchy, but apparently you can't have both at Kroger for some reason. Anyway, I'm going to watch another one of the movies that Nat really wants me to watch, which is Repo, the Grand Opera Repo the Opera. It's in the middle of an ad. Whatever. It's free on Tubi. I'm watching it. It's one of those she wants my every reaction. So I'm just going to sit down, have my sushi, watch my movie. That almost rhymed. And then, because I am currently trying to save my Windows 10 PC, so I'm partitioning it, putting it on a hard drive, backing it up, all that kind of stuff. So it's a perfect time to eat sushi, watch a movie, chill out, and then read a bunch. I have been making progress in some books. I finished one, which I will talk to you about later. I am also loving Grin and Bearda. I am in love with Jethro. Literally like 10 pages in, I texted Nat and I said, I love Jethro, which she predicted, rightly solely. And I just love him so much. I love him so much. Where's mine? What woods I gotta go in to find a game warden like that? Where? But now, it's sushi movie time. It's sushi movie time. We'll see what I think. Genetic, Shay. General Opera. The genetic opera, Shay. Oh no, he's hot. Oh no. This intro was everything. It was just everything. It was everything. Have no fear. I did not get crunchy California rolls like I told you, but I just remembered that since I grew up in a low-income household, that I have weird food habits. One of those is that I save like crunchy bits from food like left over that I cooked, so I save like the crunchy bits from fries and stuff that I didn't eat with the fries, because I thought, oh, I'll use it as like a crunchy thing, maybe in like an omelet, like I'll sprinkle the crunchy bits in like an omelet when I make it or something. I just made my own crunchy rolls. It's not that much. Yes, those are bits of ramen. I don't want to talk about it. But the actual crunchy bits from like fries and stuff like that. See? I just make my own. I just make my own. Heck yeah, I need to stop doing that. Sorry. It's been way too long since I updated with this vlog. Oopsie. But I did a Nat thing today because I was asking her more things that are Nat-ish. Nat-ish? Nat. Cooking. I actually cooked breakfast this morning. I know. Who am I? Usually I don't because it just takes up too much time, but I actually made eggs, and I cooked the banana bread earlier this week, and the sausage a few days ago. Anyway, healthy breakfast, and then I'm gonna get started in reading, because I am only 60 pages from finishing, Closed in Common Orbit, and, oh, actually, do I have it? Is this it right here? I'm surrounded by so many books. I'm like 60 pages from finishing it, so I'll finish it. And then I want to start fan service because I'm just so excited to read it. And also, I'm in the middle of Monster Smash right now, which is a readathon I'm hosting with Sash and Sarah. And yeah, I have a bunch surrounding me right now, a lot of books, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, I'm just gonna enjoy my breakfast. So it's Nat's birthday. Happy birthday, Nat. I have not updated because today has been kind of a mess so far. Beartooth and Bad Omens announced their tour today, as that happened, and trying to get tickets because I had a tattoo appointment today, and, well, you know, it happens. I'm not going to show that one up close because that one's pretty bloody, and I don't want YouTube to demonetize. So once I get home and, like, clean it up and wash it and stuff like that, I will. The other one I can show you, I think, and it's a little bit bloody, but you can't really tell that it's blood. Maybe I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, I got 2 tattoos. I got my other thigh tattoo, so if you did not know, I have a thigh tattoo that is based around Beartooth, my favorite bands, and Unisonis, and I've been wanting to get the partner tattoo of it on my other thigh for a while, but I just haven't with, like, funds and stuff like that. But I finally got the funds. I went to the same artist, Frankie Quadrini. I love her. I will drop her socials in the description down below. She always does an amazing job. I love her so much. So I got that done, and then I wanted to get, because she had like a special on Halloween themed flash and stuff like that, and so I decided to do my own flash because she was like, you can do your own designs too. So I decided to get a tattoo from I Was a Teenage Slasher, which is a book that Nat and I both love, and was my first Stephen Graham Jones, and was very influential to me horror-wise. So when Tolly picks up the knife when he's first turning, and he goes, shing, that's what I got. I got a knife that says shing on it. Hell yeah. I'll show you it, like I said, when I get home and get it cleaned up. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was in and out of there in less than an hour, because Frankie is just the best. Anyway, happy birthday, Nat. We're gonna go home. We're gonna cozy up. We're gonna do a lot of reading. I was brave and came up here to my favorite coffee shop, only to forget that they closed at 2. And it's 3. We're gonna go home. Bye. Sorry, friends, I've been kind of AWOL because when I got home last night, I did read and stuff like that, but by the time I got home last night, it was like 7 o'clock, and obviously I was kind of exhausted from my tattoos. I don't get exhausted the day after my tattoos, I get exhausted the day of my tattoos, and then last night, because I was trying not to sleep on either of my tattoos, I was awake until like 3 a.m. And then I finally said screw it, and because I usually sleep on my stomach, and so when I rolled at like 3 a.m. I was like, I just gotta do it, and so I just rolled over and slept on my stomach, and everything seems fine. They're not irritated or anything, so I've just been like chilling at home because it's a very rainy day today, but I have a lot to update you on. At this point, I don't even know how many books that I have not updated you on. But in my defense, I've been hard at work. I can go ahead and give you an update in fan service. I'm not going to make this too long because, look, I'm already almost finished with it. But fan service is a romance that I got for my birthday when I went book shopping at Half Price Books. And it's just a fun paranormal rom-com for the spooky season because it's the 29th today. And so, yeah, I want to read this in time for Halloween. And romance is a right up Nat's alley. It's just goofy. It's a fun time. He is an out-of-work child actor. Basically, he starred on a CW-like show. In fact, it was on the TW network. And it was kind of very Buffy, where he was a kid and it ran for 13 seasons. He is the once-in-a-generation werewolf who has a guild leader who kind of like Giles to Buffy. And he goes around fighting crime, you know, saving people and stuff like that. And she was like the #1 fan back in the day. She met him at a con, and basically he wronged her. He was a douche. And so she, you know, channeled her anger and became the moderator of like the biggest fan archive that there ever was out there. So just like in the show where he can turn into a werewolf, that's his whole thing. One day, like 15 years later or whatever it is, he wakes up in his backyard and he's like, what happened to me? And surprise, surprise, he is turning into a werewolf. He has things where he is turning actually into a werewolf. And so he goes to research and he finds the fan archive and he messages the mod because it's been closed. Like, I think the website's been archived ever since the show went off the air, but he tries sending an email being like, hey, I need to meet with you because I have some questions about, like, werewolf lore. Like, am I going crazy or am I actually turning into, you know, a werewolf, whatever. So he ends up meeting with her, has no idea who she is, and she obviously knows who he is, but they don't know, he doesn't know their history together. And so he basically asks her to help him, #1, find out if he is turning into a werewolf, and 2, how to control it. And so, yeah, it's goofy. Right now it's feeling like a 4 out of 5 stars because there's just some stuff that I'll talk about at the end, but it's still a great, fun little romance. It's still going to be one of my new favorites, I think, just because it is such a fun time. The Wolf and the Woodsman, I am just about halfway through this. I'm not going to hold it up because that glare is going to be very annoying, but I'll just do it like this. I am loving this. I am eating this up. I wish that we had chapters from Gassie's point of view. That, yes, that's what I'm calling him. I am loving the tension. I'm loving the angst. I wish the world building was, and I understand this was their debut novel, but I wish the world building was a little bit more smoother. I kind of like being dropped in, but I wish it was just a little bit smoother because there's often a lot all at once and we're just asked to catalog it, and I get frustrated with stuff like that because my brain is like, do I need to remember this all or not? But I'm not hating it. I'm just like, I wish it was presented in a little bit different way or a little bit smoother ride, but I am enjoying it. I'm having such a fun time with it. I am loving their relationship. I'm very interested to see where this is going. I was talking to Nat about this kind of feels Shadow and Bone-esque, as in, you know how the Darkling, I'm going to try and keep this as least spoilers as possible, But the Darkling, everyone knows the Darkling is the villain, right? But there's a thing at the end of the series that is sort of a very human moment regarding the Darkling, and it's meant to evoke not necessarily pity, but just a very tug at the soul kind of human moment, and learning stories and stuff like that. And I feel like the presentation of our male MC in this book is kind of like if we got to see the Darkling before he chose to go down the path that he went. Like, it's that kind of origin story where I could see this character, this is his story before he has to choose that path, if that makes sense. And I love that. I am loving it. I am eating it up. I can't wait to see how it ends, because I'm very, very curious. But yeah, I don't know. I may try to finish this today, or at least get most of the way through it today. I know I'm going to finish fan service today, because I am eating it up. But yes, really enjoying this. I don't think I've talked to you about this. If I have, Shay just cut it out. I finished A Close and Common Orbit a little bit a while ago. I really enjoyed this more than what I thought I would, because I am not the biggest sci-fi fan, but Becky Chambers has me in a chokehold. The way that they're writing their characters, their world building, I just absolutely love it and eat it up. It feels so soothing to my brain, because typically sci-fi suffers from the same problem that I was talking about The Wolf and the Woodsman. It throws so much at you so fast, and it's so vast, and it feels like you have to remember all of it, and it's all going to be relevant. But I love the way Becky Chambers presents it, because they only bring it up when it is relevant, and they work it into the scene so that as it's happening, it makes sense. And I'm like, I'm ADHD. My learning style is I need it as an example. So that's really helpful. I did not like what happened to Lovey at the end of the first book, and so I was not very interested in reading this book, because I was like, it's not the character I care about. I don't care. But to my surprise, it was both about them and also not. It was really heavily focused on another character as well. That story I found fascinating, but I loved how these were parallel narratives, how they were interwoven with each other, how they played off of each other. And I did end up really enjoying being in Sidra's head. I really did. And I wish we had gotten a little bit more of Pepper and Blue's backstory, just a little bit more in terms of where it ended versus kind of how it jumped forward. I wish we gotten a little bit more of their assimilation or just adjustment period to the after of what they went through. But all in all, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to pick up the third book. I don't know what the third book is about, but I'm excited to pick it up. I enjoyed this. This was a good one. I'm glad that I made the commitment with Nat and read it. I finished A For Wilder Magic 13 minutes before it was due on my e-loan from my library. I absolutely ate this book up. Anytime that I picked it up, I read several chapters at a time, and I took Nat's wreck to heart that it is like Roy and Riza fanfiction, but I thought it was just more vibes, and because the characters are made to, well, I shouldn't say made to look like them, but they're described sharing like the same features. No, it is Roy and Breeze's fanfiction. It is. Because this man, our MMC, in his stupid coat, just like Roy Mustang in his stupid freaking coat, the black hair, just the attitude, the backstories, the way that they act around each other and to themselves. If you love Roy Reza, you need to read this. You need to read this. Also, it gives me the same fantasy vibes. We're trapped in the woods. Well, we're not trapped in the woods, but very heavily woodsy, gothic themed, hunting after a magical creature with religious, overcoming stereotypes and societal norms, religious fiction, themed fiction. It shares a lot in common with Wolf and the Woodsman. So if you liked The Wolf and Woodsman and you haven't read A Far Wilder Magic, I recommend you read that. And if you read A Far Wilder Magic and you like it, and you haven't read Wolf and Woodsman, I'd recommend you read that, because they both have very similar vibes to me. Which does not surprise me, because Nat has said many times that she is finding she enjoys religious themed books, as in terms of like discussion of religious, and I can't word it like Nat can. Discussion of like religious differences and overcoming those obstacles and breaking down and understanding one another and overcoming, unlearning a lot of what they may have been taught by their own societies. But A Far Wilder Magic, I just ate it up. It was funny. It was engaging. I really like the writing style. I will probably, if I can find a good copy for cheap, I'll probably buy one, because I would like to own this. I liked it that much. I also wish that there was another book in this world, and Nat told me she shares this sentiment. I don't know what about, I don't know who to focus on, but I would like another book in this world because of the way that the world was set up. I really want to know more about it. An origin story, or for like the last creature that was caught before this whole story, would probably be pretty interesting as well. But I love them. I love Weston. I love Margaret. I think that they're great. I love the whole universe. Nat has a great way of picking books with great world building, because Nat is very detail oriented for that kind of stuff, whereas I typically am, but I can also just vibe out, which everyone can to a certain degree. But I trust Nat when she gives me a book with world building that it's gonna have great world building. What else am I reading? Oh, Grin and Beard It. I'm like halfway through. I'm also really enjoying it. Who is surprised? I love Jethro with every bone in my body. I would lead an army for Jethro. I would follow in his footsteps right into hell. I love Jethro. I'm curious as to, because now I've gotten to the point where he's gotten a letter from his dad, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out, because these books, I say as I'm on the second one, have a tendency to just all of a sudden dash the action in, and where you were waiting for it but weren't expecting it, if that makes sense, and I like it. It's not haphazard, it's just true to real life, I think, where it's like, yeah, this happened. Like now. And I love that. I love the brothers dynamic, as I always do. Cletus, my beloved, but Jethro, my most beloved. I'm loving the appearance of other characters that I'm familiar with. I love getting to be back in this town. I can't wait to see what happens with this. I am a little bit frustrated with the communication aspect, but I mean, that's how romance books tend to be. So I'm just like, talk to each other. Why don't you talk to each other? Why don't you talk to each other? Because it's not miscommunication. It's just like lack of communication. But I'm not too mad about it, because it kind of is understandable given their various situations. But also, talk to each other. Just talk to each other. So we'll see how that is. What else can I tell you? Oh, I'm loving the death I gave him. I'm not even like 3 chapters into it, but as a Hamlet salute, I am absolutely eating it. I am loving it. Maybe I'm dooming myself by saying this prematurely. I already want to buy a copy of it and highlight it and read it next to Hamlet. Because guess what? Hamlet was also mentioned in here. I can't escape it. I can't escape Hamlet. M had something similar happen to them where they were reading a book, and twice another book has been mentioned in like what they're currently reading. And I said, yeah, I know how you feel, and told them about Hamlet. And they were like, yeah, Hamlet is often at the scene of the crime. And considering the death I gave him, that's a very funny sentiment. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't trust Horatio. Horatio is the AI, so the death I gave him is just futuristic Hamlet retelling, and where they are working in a lab, and Horatio is the AI of the lab. I don't trust Horatio. Horatio is an unreliable narrator. Don't trust him. I don't trust him. Just something about it, I don't trust it. And I think it's because Horatio is supposed to be sort of the trusting character that we have in Hamlet, because he is the voice of reason in the original kind of narrative, or he is just the, not conscientious objector, what am I talking about? But he is he's like our reflection of the audience, I guess, because he's there and he's attached, but also he's not losing his mind. And so I just immediately don't trust him as being the observer here. I don't. There's some things that have been narrated with Horatio where it's like, I don't trust him. But I'm loving the detailed breakdown of the focus on death and the body's decay and timing. I can see how it would turn off a lot of people. I can see how people would be like, what is this clunk? What is this judder? That's not a word, but if you've read it, it makes sense. And I can see that, but I personally like it because it seems like that overthinking kind of spiraling would be something that Hamlet would be experiencing, because the boy is nothing if not dramatic, okay? And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. But today I got an audiobook for Girl on Girl, which I've read a chapter in and I'm really enjoying already. So I'm going to collage. Yes, I do have photos printed out for a collage, Scream-themed collage, because with my tattoos healing, I'm just chilling out today. I'm going to put on my audiobook with some Nat energy, and I'm going to do some journaling with Nat energy. There's probably something else I'm forgetting to tell you about, but we're going to stop right there for now. See you later.
Well. Hey, colonoscopy, how's it hang? I don't know.
Good morning. I ended up going to work for most of the day yesterday. I did not expect to be at work that long. So, happy Halloween! It's finally Halloween. Don't worry, I'm not ending this vlog until I finish the books that I have set out for this vlog. So, you have to deal with me for a little while longer. But today, I want to go to a haunted house, but we're not going because of my new fresh tattoos. It wouldn't be very sanitary for them or healthy, and that's fine. But I am looking into some serious ones for next year. So, and we're going to be decorating my house a little bit, so I'm having to make do here. I'm also working on my screen collage for my journal. I'm going to put on a horror movie on Hulu, whatever happens to be available. And I still have my list from that, so maybe I'll finish The Babysitter, actually. Maybe I'll go to Netflix and finish The Babysitter. But I'm going to finish my screen collage this morning, or at least get started on it. And then I'm going to go play with the pups for a little bit. And then me and Mom, I think, are just going to go hang out in town, go get dinner, get some Halloween snacks, come back here and watch some movies. Should be pretty chill. Should be pretty cool. We'll see what the day has in store.
You're gonna kill me now!
I literally can't make this up. I'm reading Girl on Girl, right? Trying to finish it. And I flipped through to try and see where, like, what the last page number is. And the page that I flipped to, obviously I can't prove to you this is actually happening. You're just gonna have to trust me. Trust me, but this is my luck. I flipped to this page, right? And trying to go through and see what the last page is, where the index is. Look at the bottom of this page. Do you see that? Go away. Not you. Do you see that? Georgetown University? I can't escape my alma mater. I can't do it. It won't let me forget. Would you just get out of here? I finished Wolf and Woodsman, and I absolutely loved it. I did knock off, like, kind of a full star, 0.75 of a star. It still ended up being 4 to 5 stars, 5 stars in spirit, but I knocked off an ending star, or almost a star, because it didn't give an obvious HEA, and that upsets me. And I get why. Like, I talked to Nat about it, and she was like, I think the point is, like, they've been through so much kind of traumatic stuff, you know, stuff like that. And I get it, but that's why I want the obvious HEA. Like, I want that resolution to be like, they've been through so much crap. I want to obviously know that they're gonna have a happy ending. Because I understand that it kind of gave us all the clues that we needed, and it gave us the confirmation that we needed, but I wanted an obvious. I don't need that they're ruling the kingdom together and they have like 37.5 kids. No, but just like give me the little Disney sparklers, okay? But without the corporate greed. And that's what I want. Like, they've been through so much. I just want like one moment to be like, oh my god, yes, finally. And we only got like half of that, I feel like, with the ending. But apparently there's some kind of like extra little epilogue short story somewhere out there in the ether that has more of that, and I need that. But I love the characters. I loved the exploration and the talk about religion versus culture, the dialogue that those were discussing. Shay, that is so redundant. That's the word. I love the discussion. I love the societal discussions that this narrative is having, especially surrounding religious context. Old versus new versus traditional versus pagan versus cross-cultural conflict and resolution or potential thereof both. And something that I really, really loved at the end, which I feel like doesn't happen enough in fantasy, maybe I'm just jaded because I've read so many kind of new adult, young adult fantasy, romantasy, whatever. I loved that it had a resolution at the end that was more realistic, because I was like, if it ends up where she's the head of everything in the kingdom, like the council and stuff like that, like she's the only one that he trusts, like as he rules, I was gonna be like, okay. But the fact that at the end of this, that there's an actual council and she's just like a part of it that is actually operating like a kingdom. It's a little bit spoilery because I'm talking about the end of the book, but I'm trying not to give you too many spoilers. I thought that the ending resolution that they talked about was more realistic to how an actual kingdom would be run in the aftermath of how this ended, and I really appreciated that. I was like, finally. Again, that kind of contradicts with like my I want Disney Sparkles happy ever after, but again, I don't need everything tied up in a neat little bow for simplicity. All I want is my little sparkler moment. Okay, just one confirmation. Because we had some confirmation, but it wasn't enough for me. I'm greedy. What can I say? But I loved the realism of it. I liked the self-aware discussions and introspection and difficult decisions that characters had to grapple with their prior understanding and upbringing surrounding different beliefs, surrounding prejudices, the way that those weren't completely healed, the way that those didn't just dissipate, even after a bunch of trials like this, the way that those things are still being unlearned and worked through and built upon. So I really, really liked it. I thought it was a great, great primer for the rest of this author's coming work, because this was their debut novel. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I love Gassy. What can I say? What can I say? Girl on girl, I did not end up giving an update halfway through this book, because after I got to a certain point in the book, so I got the audiobook from my local library, or my on Libby, and so I was trading up between listening to it and reading it, and I was reading it much faster than I was listening to it, but that's because anything that has a British accent as the narration, I have to listen to a little bit slower, because my brain's like, and so, but I enjoyed it. It was a really, really good nonfiction. I was trying to find the proper word for it, but it was really interesting, fascinating. In my commonplace book that I have for like my personal curriculum, or whatever we're calling it these days, self-learning, I have a lot of notes written down from sources that the author was talking about or were exploring, or just questions that were brought up, especially surrounding reality TV and the role of women both as objects of desire and as objects of their own destruction and persecution, and how it tended to be a cycle of like, well, they have to do these things to survive, and then they're persecuted or they're vilified for it, and then, but it's like, well, and it ends in a cycle of their own destruction or their own like self-remade image. And it was interesting how society, especially in media, as it just skyrockets and as it's still like greasing the wheels and rolling faster and faster and faster with the age of entertainment, and how content is getting shorter and cycling and cycling and cycling, how it just like keeps steamrolling over the same cycles, and how it gets worse but also better in some aspects, and how there are themes that run between this cycle of introspection for the sake of revealing things to oneself, and then actually showcasing it and having society be receptive to it, or having society slap back against it, and how that comes and goes in waves. No, that is not a Bad Omens reference, but it could be. I really like the chapters exploring Final Girls, even though it wasn't actually about Final Girls, but it was about like women cruelty in media and stuff like that. Movies like Hostel and stuff like that, how a lot of harm to women showcased in movies reflected a lot of themes going through society as a narrative at the time. And it was so smart. It was so well done. I think it was very accessible, gave me a lot to think about, and I will be thinking about it a lot. It also made me see a couple movies in a different light. Movies that I haven't even like seen in years, that I'm not even a big fan of to begin with, but like they're not in my zeitgeist enough to really have an opinion about, like American Pie. There's a whole thing dedicated to like the teenage boy coming of age kind of movie, and women as objects of desire, and how they stand in the way, like them guarding their sexuality as an agent, they're in the way of like the hero's progress, because God forbid that a woman have agency. If she says no, she's the villain, and like how, stuff like that. And it was really interesting. It's really, really interesting. I loved it a lot. And I don't know that I'll end up getting a copy. If I can find one in a used bookstore, I probably will. Yeah, maybe I'll get an ebook copy. This is a book that I don't know that I would like to own physically, but it is one that I think I would like to refer back to every now and then, so I'd like to own it. And that's kind of the more reason I would get an ebook of something, where it's like, I'm not sure that I would have it on my shelf, that I would look at it enough to justify it having space on my shelf, but I do know that I want to go back to it, and so I probably will get an ebook copy sometime to keep on my digital shelves. But yeah, I recommend, if you're interested in it at all, you pick it up. It was really well done. It's really well done. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So really 4.5, whatever. But yeah, good choice. Good random choice. And it was actually on the Goodreads Choice Awards, like, shortlist. So I was like, oh, I know this one. I'm gonna vote for this one. For She Is Wrath. Honestly, what a fun book that this was. Dumas is one of my favorite authors of all time. Three Musketeers is my favorite book of all time, and I love the Count of Monte Cristo. I love The Man in the Iron Mask. I love all those stories so dearly, and it's been a while. Admittedly, it has been a while since I read the Count of Monte Cristo, but I have read it, as far as I remember, unless I implanted a false memory into myself. But I had so much fun reading this. It did read just slightly a little bit young for me, but I understand that's because it's more of like a new adult. Sometimes I don't vibe with that writing because it feels a little bit, and I don't mean this as an insult at all, but it feels a little bit simplistic to me, as in I'm just like, I've read it a million times before because of the uptick in fantasy and romantasy, but I haven't quite read anything like this retelling. It was done with so much care, and as I told Nat, I was like, Dumas, I think, would give a standing ovation to this. I think it is so well done. And Nat was telling me that a lot of the reviews are like criticizing it for the retelling aspect, but the whole thing about, I haven't read any of the reviews, so I'm just speaking out my rear end here, but I thought it did a really good job, because the whole thing with the retelling to me is not focusing on the details, not focusing on the exact story, like beat for beat. It's more about honoring the themes and the lessons and the overarching chutzpah of the original story, and I think it did that perfectly well. I think it focused on the betrayal, the love, the identity aspect, and the transformation aspect. It centered in on those aspects and made it their own, while using the important parts from the story, but taking it and making it its own, which is what a retelling is supposed to do, in my opinion. So, I thought it nailed it. Because Dumas is all about the very human aspect. Dumas is all about the very human characters. And one of the things I love about Dumas, at least in what I've read, is the way that he paints his female characters, especially for the time, as complex. They are not just straight villains. They are not just straight heroes. They are not just straight, like, Mary Janes or whatever you want to call them, the Bechdel test or whatever. They do have a lot of their own agency. Now, is it perfect? No. But considering for the time, it's a lot more human. It's a lot more human. They're not cardboard cutouts. And these characters were all so extremely human. They were complex. They were contradictory. They learned, they lost, they loved, and that is what Dumas's chutzpah is all about. I thought it was fun to follow along. I love this world. I love seeing the revenge as it took place. I love seeing her overarching villain arc into self-redemption, and that's a very important distinction from any kind of other redemption. Self-redemption. It was her own agency that decided that. It was her own decision. It was her own terms, and that was so important for that. As Nat said, what did she say? I'm gonna post a screenshot of what she said, but she was like, I love giving the female character a space and the permission to just, like, be mean or be bad or something like that. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But the part that stuck out the most to me in this story, besides the beautiful world building, besides the spice, the romance, which I loved, that it was complicated, and I loved that betrayal was just like, I love that angst. I eat it up. I loved that not everything was perfect. I loved that they had to work through stuff, that it wasn't just, oh, this is fine now, or like, well, there's a little bit of, oh, I'm not sure, and then it just all comes together. No, there are relationships that are still, even at the end of this, even after it all goes through, that are still working through untangling and unraveling these threads that have been sheared and torn, and so shorn. And I love that, because that is the human aspect of it. That is like the, hey, not everything is, rainbows and sparkles, but it's a sunny day, and we're getting there. And that, I love that, especially for considering what these characters went through. But the thing that I love the most, that I talked to Nat about, which I thought was so very important, was her decision to not, and this is going to be a spoiler, so here's your formal spoiler warning, was her decision not to save her grandmother. And I actually sounded so smart in an update that I sent to Nat, so I'm just gonna play that here, because there's no way that I'm gonna be able to copy or sound as smart as I did when I originally told her. But I especially love, and I feel like I heard you talk about this in a video, because we feel the same way when it comes to this type of character writing, but I feel like I heard you talk about this because as I was reading this and as I had this thought, I was like, this sounds familiar. This does not sound like a thought of my own formation. But I like the grandmother scene, how it subverted expectations of the self-sacrificial stereotype. I liked that she thought rationally about it, even though she felt the emotional betrayal, she felt the emotional pull. She ended up having that internal dialogue with herself that went against, that subverted the expectations of the self-sacrificial heroine trope, especially when it comes to female heroines, that we see a lot, especially kind of revenge, you know, subdued by love with self-sacrifice. You know, how far will they go? This proves their self-sacrifice, that proves there's still some good in them or whatever, as if their self-sacrificial tendencies are what's needed to prove their goodness. So I like that subverted that expectation. So I love that. And as an addendum, I thought that the weight of the words, which I'm just going to paraphrase, where it was like, I can't save you without giving all of myself, without destroying myself, and I'm not willing to do that. I have to think of me. That is going to be some girls, that is going to be someone's awakening out there. That is so important to hear the weight of those words. So yeah, I love this. I love this. I think Dumas would love it. It gets a strong, very strong 4 out of 5 for me. I think I rated it 5 on Goodreads just because I'm like, y'all tripping. Y'all tripping. This was great. I had fun. So yeah. Yeah, I'd recommend it. Hell followed with us. I'm over halfway through it. I am about 70% into it. So now's as good a time as any to talk you halfway through it. I'm having such a good time with this. The lyricism of the writing, the world building of this, I'm just eating it up. It is so easy to devour and binge. I see why people fly through this book. It's just enveloping. It's so well done. Actually, a lot of it reminds me of themes that I myself have written about, and that's not trying to accuse of anything. That's just me saying that I'm like, oh, I've seen some, I love these themes, you know, like I am primed to love these themes because I'm like, oh, I love writing about these themes. I love reading about these themes. We're on the same page. I love this. I love to see this. I have been blasting through the audiobook, but also when I can, I sit down to actually read this. I'm so glad that I own a copy of this already. How did I get this? Did I get this at my library? I think I did. I think this was on the free shelf at my library or something, but I'm so glad that I have it because I know, no matter how this ends, this could end on like a 1 star. I don't expect it to end on a 1 star, but I already know that I want to keep this. Like, this wasn't on the chopping block, but you know when you just know? I just know. I'm on page 200 and something. I'm 70-something% in. I'm on page 280. I'm on page 280, so I've got almost less than 100 pages to go. So I will be finishing this today, and you'll see a second update of this today. But this is another present actual tense update. I'm loving the relationships between the characters. I am loving the slow descent into the action. And that sounds weird because there's a lot of action packed in this book, but you feel the train that is just like chugging over smaller mountains, knowing that you're headed towards the big one, and it's a good anticipation. I love it. I love that we're climbing these other hills and we're seeing the ups and downs and we're exploring all these characters' relationships and we're seeing them both grow and turn in ways that reveal more about their character than actual exposition ever could. And I love that Benji, our main character, right? So they're trans, and I love that as they're dealing with this other transformation, they have this acceptance about it that isn't fully acceptance, but it's intertwined with their ingrained beliefs that they were raised on, that this is just how they were, this is how they were born, this is what they were meant for, because that's repeatedly brought up. This is what I was made for, this is what I was meant for, this is how I'm supposed to be, this is what I've always been. And obviously there's a lot of parallels between both things there, and I think that's beautiful, because instead of fighting against it, now there is some fear. There's a lot of fear and anxiety about the unknown and just like what will happen at the other end of this, but there is a knowing acceptance of like, this is what it was meant to be, this is how it is, so I'm going to use it for the utmost good that I can if I'm going to be like this. And I love that, because it could get stuck in the narrative of like, oh, but I don't know, but I could be this, or like, but I'm elements of this, but it's like none of that. No, we've already decided, like, I just love that. I love skipping that part of the narrative and just saying, like, this is how it is, and so I'm going to be the best that I can and help the most people that I can, you know, with this while I can. The group dynamic, too, is very interesting. I hope that we get a little bit more peek into the other characters in the group. I know they're not that driving to the narrative, but I kind of hope that we get a little bit more insight into them before the action really starts taking place, because I feel like the bodies are really going to start flying. I'm probably going to read a few chapters physically, and then probably go outside and eat some lunch, because it's about lunchtime, and then listen to the audiobook. Might finish up with the audiobook, but I kind of want to finish it physically, so maybe I'll listen to half of it in the audiobook and then finish up the last like 50 or so pages physically. I don't know, but I feel like I want to finish this physically. I want to hold it in my hands as I read the last few pages. That's a thing with Shay. When I get to the last few pages of a book, I read slower. When I'm on the last chapter, I make sure I am ingesting every single word into my eyeballs, which is hard when you have ADHD and reading is not super easy in general. So, but I do, like, I invest every word in my eyeballs. I'm like, okay, get the absolute most meaning, because I know that the last chapter is the author's last chance to drive home what they want to drive home from the story, and I just want to make sure I get the full impact of that, and I feel like it's going to be doubly important with this book. So I want to read the last chapter at least physically. But yeah, that's the plan today, is read Grin and Bearded, finish Grin and Bearded, and which I am still loving, by the way. I just love Jethro so much. I'm such a simp for Jethro. I love the healthy exploration between Sienna getting to know his close friends. Like, there's no jealousy. Like, if there's any kind of jealousy or miscommunication or potential for miscommunication, it's starting to quickly be resolved or talked about in a healthy way, which I love and respect. And it's I feel like there's a running joke from the first book about men having layers like an onion. I feel like that was a joke in the first book, and then it happened in this book, and I was like, there's an ongoing Shrek theme. I love how thoughtful Jethro is, though. He is so thoughtful, and he's kind of in his own head because he's been slighted and his trauma in the past, but you can tell that he's trying, and I love a man that tries. And Sienna is the same way. Sienna is complex, but she's trying, and she has so many different vying areas of her life, of her personality, that she is trying to reconcile and still be as authentically as her as she can be in every single one of them, being comfortable and yet ambitious, because these two sides of her aren't warring, but they aren't quite interwoven and at peace, is really interesting, because she wants to do that with Jethro. Jethro's kind of like a tether for that, and he wants to be that, but it's definitely something they're gonna have to work together to do, and I think it's beautiful to kind of see that coming together. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it ends, because I know stuff's probably gonna go down in the second half, so we'll see. Just trying to sit out here and enjoy my lunch and make a personal curriculum. He caught something. But Sam is such a good boy. He's such a good boy. And Bub is a good boy when he wants to be. Thank you. It's done. I finished it. I finished another one just in time for pretty much my hour and a half to be up tonight. Wow. Wow. Oh, also, I'm doing the 75 book challenge with Nat in spirit, and I'm having a great time with it. Another book down, another book off my TBR. This was amazing. I think that this should be required reading in school. I'm just gonna say it. I think we should have more fun required reading in school anyway, but I think that the dialogue, especially surrounding religion in this book, needs to be experienced on a wider range, especially by the age of people represented in this book, if that makes sense. The cross sections of identity, belonging, and betrayal, and how that comes into conversation and manipulation with religion and ideologies versus choosing the belonging. So it's like blood versus water belonging is very powerful, if that makes sense. Who we are versus who we choose to be, who we're made to be, and if we end up choosing that for ourselves, how that self-reflection comes into conversation with identity and the repercussions that can have when it's manipulated or vice versa. I'm gonna have to sit with this for a while. This is a book I'm never going to forget certain things about. You know, like, it's a book that's gonna stay with me. I will continue reading the series casually, but wow, I'm so glad that I read this. I'm so glad that Nat loves this and that I picked it for this video, because it's a perfectly spooky but also impactful book to read for this season. And considering that it's very thematic to certain things that I've been thinking about, writing about, and I love it. I loved it. I can see myself rereading it. I'm gonna have to sit with it for a while. As you can see, I'm kinda stunned. And I started annotating finally towards the end, especially the lines of like, oh, what is it? And I will not be scared of a boy or something, where it's like the final showdown, and I am not going to be afraid of some boy. Yeah. Self-power king. I am the seraph, and some boy isn't going to be the fucking death of me. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love You Should Never Be So Terrifying. They would look better stained with blood, the contents of his skull dripping down those perfect robes. Are you kidding me? Now, the hand thing, I'm not sensitive to gore descriptions a lot of the time, but anything having to do with, like, the hand bones, like, I can't do hand injuries. Ever since my car accident with my hand, which I think is understandable, I can't do, like, knife in hand or, like, I can't. It makes me want to, it makes me want to blow. Okay, I hate it. It's so well done. Wow, I love this. I can't wait to continue on with this. Sick. And now I'm gonna finish Grin and Beard It tonight. Well, actually, I'm gonna go get the puppies in because they've been outside playing, and I'm gonna fix some dinner, and then I'm probably gonna read Grin and Beard It.
Move it! Move it! Execution! Way on die! You want me dead for me?
Friends, family, all configurations of being. We out here. I was gonna watch Queen of the Damned today. They took it off Tubi. So, I'm sorry, Nat. I'll have to find another movie from your list to watch, because I'm still trying to do Nat things for this Nat vlog. I am sick. Not, like, flu sick, but, like, the weather has been rapidly changing here. It's been, like, 70, and then it's been, like, 30, and that always just screws with me. And so, I have been kind of miserable for, like, the past couple of days, because I also, like, got 4 days of very crappy sleep, and so my immune system was just, like, shot. Sleeping last night helped a little bit. And, I am feeling a little bit better. At least my throat doesn't feel like two cats are trying to claw for their lives out of it. But we still out here struggling. And so tonight I just wanted some comfort. I got my library haul video done and uploaded. And so I'm continuing the death I gave him. And I'm eating some Oreos. I know, the picture of health. I am loving this. I'm giving you an update, just a little mini update for what's going on right now. I told myself I'd wait till I was halfway through or at the end to buy a copy. the end of chapter 4 and the end of that interlude before chapter 5, I bought the book. I went on Pango and bought it, because that is just now going to live in my head rent-free, and I won't be the same. And so, if I could, I'd be giggling and screaming and kicking my little feet right now, but alas, this is all I can do. But just know that inside I am screaming. I'm about to make some dumplings, and then I'm probably gonna work. Well, no, I'm gonna make a chicken sandwich, and then I'm going to work on editing another video, because we hit that grind set. I hate that I did that. Ow, no. But I'm gonna work on the video probably for like an hour. I'm not gonna stress myself out about it too much, because today, or tomorrow, is supposed to be, like, a pretty gloomy day to stay inside, and I'm probably gonna need to stay inside anyway to, like, keep recovering from this, so I'll just force myself to really just get at it tomorrow. And then I'll probably just work on reading a lot tonight. I'll probably work on reading Funny Story and reading this. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. We out here. I just read the chapter in After Hours on M Street where she sees him sitting down talking to Duty Meyer, and he, like, chases her out in the rain, and they go into alley. So I don't understand in what logical world that all of a sudden she flips to this understanding. She goes to him, and then she flips to this understanding, and then they're grinding against each other in the alley. What world does that fucking make sense? No, it is a 3-star now, because I'm like, that doesn't make fucking sense to me. What do you mean you chased her out in the rain, and you barely had this conversation, and now you're just grinding against each other? No prelude, no common sense. What? 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 So, I don't understand it. I don't get it. It wasn't even like a hint of insta-lust. It was just like, I understand. I forgive you. After you were about to smash his face in. And, like, no, actually, I understand. I get it. With, like, 180 flop. First of all, what was that? And then all of a sudden, he touches her once and he starts grinding against her. And she's like, oh, yes, I wanted to kill you, but now I understand. And now I want your dick. No! No! What? What? No! Friends, family, all configurations of enemies. It do be getting about that time, whatever that time may be. And for me, that time is actually 10:28. So that means it's bedtime. Well, I'm typically in bed about 11, and I don't go to sleep till about midnight, unless I'm working, which is unfortunately often, but also fortunately, because I do love my work and I love getting paid. But things like last night, where I worked a shift till midnight, it makes nights like this where I'm like, I want to be in bed by 10 and then asleep by 10:30. But that's not why you're here. You're here to listen to me talk about how much I love Nat and how much I'm loving the books that I'm reading and just have a good natty time. I'm getting flashbacks with the word natty from college. If you know, you know. I'm about to go to bed and I'm just gonna read until I pass out. But let's update you on where I am right now. I have made so much progress. So I said I was only gonna finish out 3 books, right, for this vlog I was gonna do. After Hours, Death I Gave Him, and Funny Story. But I also finished Fan Service. So hello? What are we doing? Hello? This wasn't officially part of this vlog, but I want to talk about it anyway, because it was just a fun little romance that I read during this vlog, and I finished during this vlog, and it was fun. It was a fun, goofy time. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It felt too light to me sometimes, but I liked the character work in here. I liked the steam. I liked the overall handling of fandom, except for when it came to her friends, but sometimes, I mean, friends just are the way that people are. Just because I don't like them doesn't mean that that isn't a realistic depiction of how people are. Because it is, but I thought the overall representation of fandom and the realities of it and the dedication and kind of a love letter to it was handled really well. I just thought it was a really fun time. Do I think Nat would like this? I think Nat would either give this a 3 to 4 out of 5. she'd either be okay with it or she would like it. I don't think Nat would dislike this. I hope I'm not wrong about that. Nat, if you read this, let me know. Yeah, I love Devin. I love Alex, but I love Devin. I also saw a little bit too much of myself in Alex, like I'm being called out, but that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. As for the other books that I am officially reading for this vlog, I am now halfway through all of them, or more. Well, After Hours, I'm 48% of the way through, but round it up. Actually, let's talk about that one first. That's probably the most that I have to say, but I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, because I know this vlog's already getting long, and also, IEP. But After Hours, which I'm calling it, because you don't want to hear me try and pronounce the M word. Not when I'm sleepy like this. My Spanish is not good. Milagro Street. I am liking this so far. I am liking it more now that I was a quarter of the way through. I told Nat, I was like, I'm bumping this down to 3 stars because there was just some stuff that was driving me crazy that wasn't making logical sense to me. These characters are supposed to hate each other. They're supposed to be diametrically opposed foes, as Hamilton and Burr might put it. And yet, all of a sudden, they, like, go into the throes of lust with, like, no foreshadowing, no taciturn, nothing. It's just like, bam, grinding. And it's like, where did that come from? Even more infuriating, they're supposed to hate each other, right? Well, then this moment sort of happens where they have sort of this come-together moment. That something intense and personal happened for her, and so he goes after her to make sure she's okay, and she has this moment, this character-building moment, kind of early on, where she's like, I understand I misread your intentions, and I believe what your intentions are, what they say that, or what you say that they are. And then he touches her once, and then they're grinding. I'm not kidding. What? What? And it wasn't like, oh, I listened to you. No, they just have this, like, 5-sentence conversation about, like, I understand you, and are you okay, and I believe what you're saying now, and then it's like, yeah, believe me. And then all of a sudden he like puts his thumbs on her hips, and then all of a sudden they're just grinding. And then they go back to hating each other again. She's like, oh, I understand that I was misunderstanding you. And then they're back to actually viscerally hating each other. Like, that doesn't make logical sense, and I don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. And the whole all of a sudden flip to lust thing happened again. So he comes to her and he's like, hey, I've got this really big important information that you really need to know about, considering that it involves both me and you and the future of this place that we're both really invested in. This is like serious crap. And she's like, if you wanted some of this, you should have just said so. You don't have to lie. Like, read a room. I told Nat, I said it had the feeling of, it, again, if you get this reference, you know, but it gives the feel of, this isn't a beach, this is a bathtub. Like, that's what it gives. And I'm like, what? What? He's coming in here saying this is super important, like we could both lose our chances at getting this, and this guy that we both hate could win out over it, and I really need to talk to you about this. And she's like, if you just want to sleep with me, you don't have to lie about it. Like, and tries to, like, and it becomes like lust kind of focused. And I'm sorry, I don't buy that it's hate sex. At least not then. I am by it, because it came out of nowhere. There was no, it was a non sequitur. Like, it was just all of a sudden, this moment, the dichotomy between the emotion of the moment, and then all of a sudden just flat, like, lust is happening. I'm like, what? What? But now, things are actually starting to make sense. Now things are feeling like they're more in a natural rhythm. They are having miscommunications, not in the type that people typically moan and groan about third act conflict, but actual miscommunication that you would expect people who are diametrically opposed or arguing or supposed to have this strong dislike for each other, even if they're starting to concede on a couple of points or seeing the other person's point of view, if they're still opposed and they still have their own goals and, you know, their biases and stuff like that, you see that miscommunication, that there's still, it just realistic. I feel like the emotions in the moment are now actually matching up to what we're being presented and what we're told in the flow that it should be. We're following the logical steps of anger, miscommunication, just knock down, drag out, and that intense emotional, then hate sex or whatever you have that actually feels like it builds up for the moment makes more sense to me. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now I'm really enjoying this. It got back up to a 4-star because of the hallway scene so far. And I think I've predicted the ending. I'm not sure I'm correct yet. But yeah, now I'm really enjoying it. Now it feels more realistic for them to, even if they hate each other and they hooked up, now when she goes after him like a whoop dog to like go and actually apologize and humbles herself before him, now I'm like, now I believe it. Now I believe that you actually say that you understand where he's coming from. And does that mean that everything will be perfect? No, but that doesn't have to mean what it means. But you can't just do 180, oh, I want to bone you, 180. So now it's making more sense. So that's my thoughts on that. I love the characters. I love the whole buildup of this town and the lore around this town and the whole family that we're getting built out, like their own histories and stuff. I find that so fascinating. And listen, I relate to Jeremiah more than I want to talk about because, especially as a history, archaeology, conservationist nerd, yeah, I get it. Speaking of being an insufferable nerd, let's talk about the death that I gave him, which, as I told you, I didn't even get 4 chapters in before I bought a physical copy. And I did. It's here, and it's in my room, but I'm not gonna go get it. I will by the time I finish it, but I'm not gonna get it right now because I'm tired. Not much to say here because you've just heard me talk about it over and over. Not much has changed. I'm 50% through it. I am loving it. It is visceral. It is gut twisting. It's not gut-wrenching, it is gut-twisting. So, fun Shay lore. My mom gave me my first pocket knife when I was 9, and it's got a serrated edge blade instead of a straight edge blade. And I was like, why? And she said, well, straight edge blade can't do much damage. Serrated knife, you stab it into someone, you twist it around, that does real damage because they can't sew their guts up. Efficient, unforgettable, inconceivable in some parts, but in the best way. I like that some of what is the perceived canon in Hamlet is being turned on its head, especially because that's what Shakespeare would want. That's what Shakespeare would want, and I love that. Especially perceptions regarding Ophelia, who is Felicia in this story, or surrounding the uncle and surrounding the rotten core of the labs. I love the way that is being utilized, the way it's being turned and twisted in a way that is familiar, but I also don't immediately recognize because the whole story is an unreliable narrator, and I love that. It's taking the frame of the story that we seem to know really well, but it's making it twisted to a point where the story itself is the unreliable narrator because you expect it to go a certain way. But when this stuff starts happening and it seems like it's in the same cadence but not the same entire beat, you don't know whether you can trust it or not. And I love that. Finally, our final update for right now. I am this far through Funny Story. Y'all, this is contending with Beach Read for my new favorite Emily Henry. I think Beach Read will never be beaten, but this will be a very close second. I love Miles so much, and one of my family members just had their birthday happen and they were gonna go to a winery to celebrate, and I don't drink, but I was so tempted because I was like, the timing. Also, could there be a Miles there? But I didn't end up going because I'm awkward, and I would have been that weird family member in the corner in all black just being like, I don't drink. I'm loving this though. Miles makes me laugh so much. Overall, this story makes me laugh. It's a funny story. But it is actually really funny in parts that, like, really disarming too, kind of funny, and I'm adoring it. It's got that typical Emily Henry, just knock your socks off, sweet inner monologue, thoughts about each other. The only thing is, I want chapters from Miles' point of view. That's what I want. I have come to learn about myself that I really, really prefer romantic stories that have both people, both interest, I was gonna say, because it's not always male, but both love interest or all the love interest POV chapters, whether it's 2, whether it's 3, whoever. I want POVs from everyone involved in the romanticities. I need to see the yearning. I need to see the angst from all sides of the coin. And you can tell I'm getting sleepy because I'm getting goofy, but I just, my heart, Miles has my entire heart. I'm loving the side characters that are coming up in here. I'm loving the traction of what's happening between them. I love the slow burn that is also hitting potholes along the way and just jumping the exit in some points. But I'm having such a fun time with it. It's my before bed book. I'm going to bed and I'm annotating with this like little blue pen. And I'm just having such a great time. I'll probably go back and like actually annotate with highlighters and stuff for different things. But see, I'm just like underlining and just generally kind of highlighting with the blue pen. I've got some like hearts and stuff in there. You probably can't see it too well with the camera. But trust me, there's stuff there. So like, there you go. Alright, speaking of which, I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm gonna go get in bed. The plan is to finish as many of these books as I can tomorrow, and then go to work on Monday, and then in this vlog, hopefully finishing the rest of these books, and finish this vlog by watching Batman Returns, because I told Nat, I said, I legally can't end the vlog because I haven't read anything Batman. And then she asked me if I'd ever seen Batman Returns, and I was like, no. And apparently, as a bi disaster, that's against the law that I haven't seen it yet. So, I'm gonna put it on, I'm gonna watch it Monday, and that's how we're gonna end the vlog. But for now, it's bedtime. It's bedtime. It's bedtime. I haven't gotten to update y'all on this yet, but this is my physical copy that I now own of The Death I Gave Him, and I'm very close to finishing it. I'm gonna finish it tonight, but, like, she is so brand new that I can't even crack her open all the way. Like, look at this. That's taking effort. Like, she is so brand new. I'm spoiled, and I'm loving her. So yeah, I'm gonna get to working on this, but I thought I would appreciate that. Her newness. And I'll talk to you when I finish it. I did finish After Hours on, whenever I go to consciously say a word in another language, my pronunciation goes out the window. I finished After Hours today, so I'll just talk to you about it when I finish this. Okay, so I know you're all jealous of the best lighting in the world, but this is my cozy reading chair. So, and I don't feel like plugging in the ring light and dragging it over here for no reason. I was gonna wait to update you until I finish Funny Story, because I will finish Funny Story and finish this vlog today, because I will also be watching Batman Returns today. But I'm like, I don't know when that's gonna be, so I'm gonna go ahead and update you on these books before I forget where I was in my thoughts, which has probably already happened. Okay, let's talk about After Hours first, since it was the one that I finished first. As I talked about earlier, it did dip down to a 3-star for me, but it ended up saving itself, and I would say is a strong 4. I wouldn't say 4.5, but I say it's a strong 4 for me. Number one, the steamy scenes, the spice, how well it was written actually revived it. But, except for the use, I think I actually texted Nat, because I was like, didn't you have this critique as well? Because I vaguely remember her talking about it. But the critique of using actual anatomical language in the spicy talk, not just in description of the wow, hair, okay? Not just in the description of the actions, but being like, why don't you touch that anatomically correct government name body part? And I'm like, that was a jump scare. Don't know how I felt about that. But honestly, there's sympathy there, because there's only so many words you can use and so many synonyms and before it gets ridiculous. So while it was a little bit uncomfortable and jarring, I'm forgiving of it. That didn't knock any points for me. I was just like, okay. But, you know, I get it. As a writer and just as an avid romance and stuff reader, I get it. I get it. I see what you had to do there. I ended up really liking the story, though. I ended up really liking their dynamic. I'm also just not a very any kind of person, like insta romance, insta lust. I'm just not really insta lust. I can believe kind of a little bit more, but insta romance, even though I have friends that literally like love at first sight, I'm like, that's fake. Real life, yeah, sure, it can be real, because I have friends that have 2 books. I'm just a slow burn girl. I really ended up liking the direction that this story took. I know I was a little bit hesitant on how their relationship growing, like, was represented in the back and forth that took, but I think it corrected itself. Well, corrected itself sounds wrong. I think it redeemed itself in my brain. Like, stuff started making a lot more sense to me in the ways that it went back and forth. I think we just needed a little bit more time with them before it started doing that. I think they got more logical in their reasons for dipping between loving and hating and mistrusting and miscommunication, if you want to put it that way. It started making more sense to me. It started becoming more believable instead of just swinging wildly one way or the other. I was right about the ending, but also not. And so, but like, I got the crux of it. But I enjoyed it. It was very cathartic and it made sense. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I love the supernatural element of it. I love that it played a part and really came together in the ending, but wasn't an overall focus. I like the lore of the hometown, even though some of the characters sometimes felt like caricatures of a certain type of person, but I'm forgiving of that. You know, you gotta have villains and stuff like that. But I appreciated how real like our main cast felt and how real that the extended family felt and the importance of the community that is so invested and so entrenched in these areas that we often don't think about, which was also mentioned in the author's note, which I loved because they're 100% correct. I loved it. I thought it was a beautiful exploration of family and community and ties of people changing in realistic ways but also sticking to their guns and others. I really liked it a lot. Would I read more from this author? Yeah, I'd try out more. Will I be racing to anytime soon? No, but that's only because my TBR is already so full. But this was another good Nat recommendation. It wavered a little bit for a second. I was like, Nat? We may have our first Nat miss. But we didn't. I should have had faith. Alright. Death I gave him. As soon as I finished this book, I texted Nat and I was like, did I finish this or did it finish me? Because I'm so glad that I now have a physical copy. Because I was going a little bit ham on my annotations, which I haven't highlighted or anything yet because I think I'm going to give myself some time and space from this because I created the whole trend of the personal curriculum. I made like a ham about Hamlet course for myself I want to do next year, and part of it is going to be reading or like comparing it and contrasting it with modern adaptations. So I'll obviously be reading this soon, but just to give you an indication, you can kind of see it. Don't look too closely if you don't want spoilers, but you see all that. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much. 4.5, very strongly. I think it just needed a little bit of polishing for me in some areas, and I wanted more. And that's a good complaint, right? That's a good thing to have. I wanted this to be drawn out to like 500 pages. I wanted this to be catabasis. I wanted this to be Babel level. I wanted this to be Babel long because I loved it so much and I felt like there was so much more to explore with the characters and this setting and this world that I just wanted more time with them. But I think that the time we got was very well done. There was a line in here that I'll just have to post it on screen because I don't remember what it was. Actually, you know what, Shay? We are going to try and find it. Actually, I may have just turned to it. I did just turn to it. Okay, so the line is, there's no way out of this but through Horatio. He says, Elsinore is vacuum sealed. I know that's a little line, and it's representative of the fact that they're, like, trapped in this lockdown in this representation of the kingdom. You know, it's the Elsinore Labs. But I thought it was so fascinating because I haven't finished it, but I started this essay I don't have it in here. I got this book of essays on Hamlet because I'm a giant nerd and I know this, but it's like a book from the 70s that's just like a compilation of essays about different things in Hamlet, and one of them that I started, again, have not finished yet, but the premise was, it's fascinating how non-logistical sense Hamlet makes, because it seems like the play takes course over several days when in fact it's much longer, but it seems that way because we never move away from the kingdom. Like, that is where the play is set. Even though there's stuff going on outside of it, we see nothing significant outside of the kingdom. Like, it's all happening there, and that's what makes it seem like it's all in the span of a few days when it's actually, you know, all over the place. We get bits and pieces of this action in other places, you know, in the battlefields, Hamlet at college with Horatio, and all that kind of stuff, but it is so vacuum sealed and set in that location that it feels like that is the only place that matters, to the point where Hamlet gets kidnapped by pirates, and it's a minor plot point. And I was like, I think they got it. I think they got that. Whether or not they meant it intentionally, I think that they got that, and I just found that fascinating. I did not love Felicia, who is Ophelia in this retelling, but I love that. I love that I didn't have to like her, that she was not... It's not that I didn't like her, but I was just like, well, I didn't hate her, but I was just like, I don't like her. But I love that there's a point where she takes back her narrative in the story, and she's like, I'm not doing this with you anymore. She's like, I can't be tied to you. I'm doing my own thing. And I was like, yes, girl. Which is essentially kind of the narrative that happens in the original Hamlet, but is inextricably ended up being tied with him as part of the narrative, as part of the blame and stuff like that. But to actually see her physically say that and hand him something that could change everything and be like, nope, I'm erasing myself from the narrative, or whatever Eliza said. I'm sorry you had to hear me sing, but yeah, it's just, by erasing herself from the future of it, she's writing herself into it, and I love that. I love that we have agency we get to see more of in this story, and the complications with that. I also love that, how much can I say without spoilers? I love that the people who don't get, I love that different people get a different ending in this story than the original, in a way that I didn't see coming. Every person that gets a certain ending in the original gets a different ending here, pretty much. And I found that interesting. I saw the twist coming. I knew that was going to happen. Well, a good part, I figured it was going to happen, but the way that it was executed was so well done. I think it was... I think Shakespeare would love this. I think it was honoring him by taking a new twist on it, by just delving into the themes. I told Nat this, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, but as long as it's honoring to the original themes, I don't think it needs to follow them note for note, beat for beat. As long as you can tell the original themes and the original messages, I guess, in the same kind of medium, I think you've done your job. And I just wanted more. I wanted to explore more between Horatio and Hamlet, which we got so much deliciousness out of. If you are a Horatio Hamlet shipper, I need you to read this. But I love the relationship between them. I just wish we got more. I wish there was more. I wanted to look more into Hamlet, because at times he did feel like a moody caricature, but I also love when people shove it in his face of like, stop being so self-loathing. Just, it's not helping. But the representations of depression, and also people's reckonings with depression, that they can be they have validity in their frustration with it, and explaining that to him, but also the self-realization that only furthers the spiral is really refreshing. And the descriptions of Hamlet's internal depression and like turmoil and stuff like that, I was like, wow, I'm being attacked with a baseball bat. And so I underlined all of those, because I'm like, wow, I see myself in this picture. But I love this. I love this. Strong 4.5 out of 5 for me. With just a little bit of polishing, and you make this 500 pages, it would have been 5-star. So, M, please. Extended edition for me only. I don't know, from one famlet to another. Thank you. I have like 200 pages to go in Funny Story. I guess I'll see you when that's done. Okay, are y'all ready to talk about this? Because I just sat here and pretty much finished the thing in 1.5 goes. I had to go let the dogs in because it started raining, but wow, that makes my neck look very different. But I finished this, the last book of this video. And what a book to finish it on. I didn't plan it that way, but the way that it worked out, stupendous. This was 5 motherfreaking stars, as I would expect of any Emily Henry book that interests me. It almost rivals Beach Read. I annotated so hard and heavy in here that I'm gonna have to go back through with highlighters and tabs later on. But right now, I just wanted to live the experience. I didn't want to get distracted with any of that stuff. I just wanted to underline, go through it, and keep going. After I finished, I had to sit here and decompress for a while. I had to get on my, like, little apps and just let my brain wander and do whatever after that ride, because wow, I love Miles so much. I love the self-actualizations and self-realizations of this book, of complicated relationships, and the recognition that, hey, not everything in a relationship has to be tied up in a neat bow. And that goes not just for romantic relationships, but familial. It goes for platonic friendship relationships. That it's inevitable that you're going to hurt each other, because we're people. God forbid we have lives, and we have things that shift and things that change, and we're not perfect. But that's okay. Sometimes things, as this book says, are just hard. And it matters that you try. And one line that I loved from this book was, she was talking about being a parent, this other character, but it rings true of just, you just have to be present, not perfect. And I love that. I love that so much. I think it perfectly sums up this book. I love Daphne's realization at the end of her taking her own stand and welcoming surprises in a new way, because I related a little bit too hard and heavy to each of these characters for different reasons. There were whole tangents that they both went on that I was like, ow. Ow and yikes. Ow and yikes. But Daphne, her realization at the end where she's like, hey, I want this, but I want my own space to figure things out first, because she recognizes and she's okay with it. She needs to build a life for herself first, kind of like her mom has done, of like, oh, how does she put it? She's like, my mom said she was too busy for dating, but it's because she created a life for herself that doesn't allow room for anyone that doesn't set her world on fire otherwise. And I'm like, good for you, girl. You recognize that, because you do need yourself first, because you spent too long with a person that you were trying to fit into everything else. And you shouldn't have to fit a person into your life. It should just, choices and happenings. It shouldn't have to feel like fitting them in, I guess that's what I'm saying. But I love that she had the realization she needed her own space, her own place to figure things out, and that she was going to make that happen while making that other part of her life part of her life. I just love them. It was so funny. I love Miles so much. New book boyfriend, I love him so much. It's ridiculous. I love this little cast of characters. I love this story. I will be going back and rereading this in the future, but for now, we're gonna call it quits on that. And I'm gonna go watch Batman Returns, and then we're gonna do a wrap-up and get the hell out of this video. So you can go watch Nat's channel, because that's what you should be doing anyway. Why the hell are you even here? Who are you? What do you want? You fed? So I forgot to update you the other night after I went to bed after watching the Batman movie, but I absolutely loved it, and really there's no words to describe the experience of that movie if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, I don't think I need words to describe it to you. I think it's just going to be my #1 staple Christmas movie behind National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation from now on. Nat's book recommendations always slap. I don't know why that I would even question that her movie ones would. Not that I did, but I don't know why I ever would. Anyway, so now we're at the end of this video. I should have updated you the other night as well, because me and Nat had a movie night, we call it. So she's been getting me into Red Hood. It didn't take much convincing. It didn't take much cajoling, okay? And she's like, hey, do you want to have like a movie night and watch Under the Red Hood? Because we've been watching Batman, the anime series stuff together. And I was like, sure. Well, she neglected to tell me on purpose. I googled it to try and see what streaming service or whatever where I could watch it, and you know how it has the cast below it? No one warned me that Jensen Ackles was Red Hood. And her and my friend were like, yeah, we didn't do that on purpose, because we wanted to see your live reaction. My reaction was absolutely thrashing out in the privacy of my own home. When I found out and when we were watching the movie, and it was such a good, fun time we had just being thirsty together. Anyway, but alas, now we must say adieu, because it is the end of this video, as I'm sure Nat's probably saying, thank God. So let's wrap this up and get the hell out of here, shall we? Let's talk over some stats. All in all, I read 15 books in this vlog. That is nothing to snuff at, nothing to sneeze at. Very proud of myself. And 8 of which, get back in line, this is 8 of those 15. So 8 out of 15 being on my physical TBR, pretty freaking darn good odds, or ratio, whatever the correct word is there. 8 out of 15. That's a good solid more than half. 60? Something. But even more so than that, I just got done taking a thumbnail. Don't worry why the books are taken. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Even more so than the 8 out of 15 being on my physical TBR, there's another more important stat. So if you do a little bit of math, I know I'm asking a lot of you, 15 minus 8 means 7 must have come from ebooks or must have come from my library, and you are correct. However, 2 books. These 2 were library loans, and before the end of this vlog, I bought them. So I'm counting them towards physical TBR. So it would have been 6 out of 15, but then I bought these 2, and so it became 8 out of 15, because yeah, I'm gonna count it. Why? You fed? Why do you care? That is how much I love these books. Before this vlog ended, I bought these. Before I even finished this book, I bought this book. And then after I finished it, I knew I was going to buy this. So I just went ahead and got the deluxe edition. But two, before the end of this vlog, I bought. Because I love so much. That is really great Nat recommendation odds. Not great for the integrity of my bookshelf, but great for my owned read shelf stats odds. Even more important was that I just had so much fun with all these books. Every single book was a hit. Even the one book that I thought may have been the first slight miss for Nat ended up being a solid hit. I don't think I rated anything below a 3-star. I don't even think that I had a 3-star in this video. I honestly don't think I did. But I love these. This just goes to show me that Nat is one of my #1 book recommending besties, that she just knows me. Maybe a little bit too well. I need to work on being a little bit more unknowable and mysterious. But if it gets me good books, I can suffer a little bit to read a lot. I hope I did Nat proud with all these stats. I hope that I made you interested in Nat, but not too much. She's mine. And Josh's too, I guess. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video and you haven't heard of Nat, or you've never watched her channel, what are you waiting for? Now you've seen what you're in for, and she's a lot better than I am. So go on over there, enjoy her amazing channel, enjoy her amazing self. I'm sure you're gonna love her just as much as I do. But as for me, I'm gonna finally put these books back on my freaking bookshelf because they've been sitting on the floor waiting for me to do a wrap-up, just staring at me into the abyss, and that's fair. Will I be doing another vlog like this in the future? Maybe for her next birthday. Maybe, now that I know that her recommendations are even more solid. I had it on good authority that they were, but with every book that she recommends me that I love or I read kind of in her sphere, it just hits that much harder. I don't know. We'll see what the year holds. Maybe by next year I'll actually be in Texas to deal with her. That sounds so ominous. Maybe by this time next year I'll actually be in Texas to hang out with her and maybe have part of a vlog dinner. Who knows? Who knows? No one knows. I read a lot of good books, watched a lot of good movies. Basically what we learned in this vlog is that Nat is a person of many talents and a person of very good taste. And I'm just in her orbit. I love that my friends actually let me harass them with all of my thoughts and all of my screaming and just really try to embody their own vibes and turn it into my own disaster. Thank you, friends, for letting me do that. For trusting me not to besmirch sounds like a horror film from a Smurf. Besmirch your good name. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. I have a lot more vlogs in store. I have some awesome projects that I'm working on, as well as, you know, some end of the year stats videos, but the project ones, those are the fun ones. Those are the kickers. So if you want to stick around, you want to see what chaos I'm brewing up, hit that subscribe button down below, leave me a like if you liked it, and a comment to let me know what you thought of any of these books. If you're interested in any of them, or if you have read, let me know what you thought. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you haven't heard anyone else, thank you everybody so much for watching. If you ain't heard from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace. Bye!